Hello, everybody, and God bless you. Welcome again to the Crystal Jones Show. It's so nice to have you all join me again. Thank you all for all your prayers, all your support. I really appreciate it. Happy Black History Month. Yes, February 2019. This is a significant year. It's the 400th year since the transatlantic slave trade. Do you remember what that was about? Well, we have so much to share with you today about it. We have just so much information. What I'm going to be covering today is what happened to Black people, or as we're called here in America, African American people. What happened to us before the transatlantic slave trade, during the transatlantic slave trade, after, and what's going on with us now? Well, what we want to let you know is that we have found out so many things over the years about us. We were a people that were told we had no history. We were told we came from monkeys and apes and all kind of crazy stuff they used to tell us, that we were a people that just, we just existed and we were just meant to be slaves. When actually we are people of a great heritage. We came from people who built great dynasties. We have just so much richness in our heritage. But what exactly landed us here in this place that we call America, land of the free and the home of the brave? I don't know. Well, today we're going to do as I promised you over the months, that we were going to do a study on it. Now, I'm not trying to argue with anybody. I don't hate anybody from a particular culture, but I must defend my culture. I must come to the forefront and let you know what happened. And I'm bringing you history. These are things that you can look up for yourselves. Now, what I want to start with is the fact that we are not, well, I come to find out we really are not African. Those of us who were brought over here through the transatlantic slave trade, and that are today's, I guess if you would call us Negroes, they've given us many names. One time they were calling us colored, or, we've had different names over the centuries that we've been here. But come to find out we're not actually African. There is a deep richness in our history as to where we came from. And also we came here due to the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy, which talks about the curses that actually brought us here. Now, as you can see, Deuteronomy 28 and 30, I'm actually going to start with Genesis, the 15th chapter and the 13th verse. And it says, "And he said unto Abraham," which is the Lord, "Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them." How many? 400 years. Now let's look at that number 400. 400 symbolizes the energy of God as well as the universe. This number symbolizes our spiritual path and the process developing our spiritual gifts and abilities. As a blend of these vibrations, the number 400 symbolizes going on a spiritual journey, ending and beginning a phase or cycle in your life. So there was a first Exodus that happened in Egypt many years ago was when the Hebrew children came out of Egypt, the Lord delivered them. Now, that was the first Exodus that took place. Now, there's also a second Exodus that's going to be happening with God's people. So I wanted to cover that because these are the same things that are happening now. And in the 14th verse, it says, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. That's what happened in the first Exodus when the Egyptians did not want to let the Hebrews go because they figured, they were using them again for slavery. And how the Hebrews went into slavery at that time was because a king arose that did not know Joseph, who was one of Jacob's sons. So all the while that Joseph was alive, remember, he was like the prime minister over Egypt. He had been sold into slavery from his brothers because of jealousy, but it was to save their people alive. And so during the time that Joseph reigned as prime minister of Egypt, his people were able to come there and live in peace with the Egyptians. But after that particular Pharaoh died and Joseph and all of his brethren, all of that played out, there arose a king who did not know Joseph. And he was very jealous of the fact that the Hebrew people were great in number. And he thought, you know what? They may go against us, with our enemies. How silly was that? If they were already on your side and living with you, wouldn't you use them to help you in any battle that came up? Because they were already living there in your land. But you know how that works. So they afflicted them 400 years and then they came out. But there is a price to pay when you touch God's people. He said, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. God's people always come out on the winning side. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. This is what he was telling Abraham. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. Okay, so that was the first Exodus that we know of that took place. Now, we have in the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy that tells us that there are blessings that God wants to give his children out of obedience. We have to obey God in order to get his blessings. We can't just, be doing our thing, whatever we feel like doing, and then expect to receive the promises of God. No, no, no. You have to serve God in spirit and in truth and obey his commandments. And his commandments are simple. He just asks you to love him, the Lord your God above all else, and not create any images or things that take the place of the Lord. In other words, don't love anything above God. And to love your neighbor as yourself. If you do those two things, you will fulfill all the laws of God. It's that simple. Love God above all else and love your neighbors as yourself. And these are the blessings of obedience in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. It says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee. So your blessings will overtake you if you obey. I hear a lot of people quoting, oh, God is going to bless me, this and that. But yet they're not doing the will of God. The God is not, they want God for the gifts, but they don't want to serve him. All these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, and if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, blessed shall you be in the city, blessed shall you be in the field, Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, meaning your children, the fruit of your ground, the things that you grow and your businesses, all of that kind of stuff, the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your kind, the flocks of your sheep. Blessed shall be your basket and store. Blessed shall you be when you come in, you come out. The Lord shall cause your enemies also that rise up against you. They shall come out against you one way, but flee before you 7 ways. That's how fierce you are when you serve the Lord. When you're on the Lord's side, he'll even make your enemies flee before you. So now, if you read all of these different verses of this scripture, it tells you all of the blessings that God will give you and will bless you with. Now, we also have the consequences of disobedience. If it shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, to observe all his commandments and his statutes, which he commands you today, these curses shall come and overtake thee. Cursed shall you be in the city, cursed shall you be in the field. Basically, all of the things that he promised to bless you with, they'll now become a curse. So we're going to talk about the 12 curses that will come upon you. And these are the curses that fit the 12 tribes of Israel, which are the black so-called African American people. We are the only people that fit these curses. Now, slavery and captivity. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 41st verse. It says, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. In the transatlantic slave trade, people were separated from their families. Children were separated from their parents because remember, when the transatlantic slave trade happened, there were European people that came over to Africa to purchase us. Now, how that happened, of course, was during the 70 AD revolt that happened in Israel, in Jerusalem. There was a 70 AD slave revolt that happened where the Roman Empire took over basically Jerusalem, and the Israelites stood up against them, but they were defeated. So the 70 AD revolt, let me tell you about that. If you will pull up the Negro land map, please. Now, when our people were fleeing from Israel, Jerusalem area, they ran to the surrounding areas. They ran to, Nigeria. They ran to Cameroon. They ran to because remember, Israel is on the continent of Northeast Africa. It's in Africa, but we're not African, we're Hebrew. So if you notice on the map, you will see up above Negro land. Aha. Right above Guinea is Negro land. They call that area Negro land. Why? Because the Negroes were there. You also see there the kingdom of what? Judah. We're from the tribe of Judah. Okay? And Judah was one of Jacob's sons. So we are Shemites. We come from Shem, Noah's son Shem. Now, Africa, the African people are Canaanites, and there's a couple of the dark-skinned races. We are from the dark-skinned races, But Ham is the father of the African people, the dark-skinned people, not the Negroes. We are the Negroes. Most of us that are here in America are Negroes. We came from the kingdom of Judah. You can see it right there on the map. And we lived in Negro land. That's right there in the area of Nigeria. So we came from there. And this is how it came about that we got sold into slavery. When you get a chance, look up the Negro land map and you will see where we came from when we fled during the Jerusalem and Roman revolt. Okay? So now the curses came upon us because while we were there in Jerusalem, you know, before the revolt happened and everything, our people continued to serve idol gods. They continued to deliver their children up to Molech, which told the people to burn their kids in fire. I don't know why our people, the sins of our forefathers are really, they're out there. They're up there, okay? And they always wanted to follow these pagan nations and lands. And that was the first commandment. God told us not to follow those lands, lest they cause us to sin against the Lord. Now, the other curse number 2, having no power to stand against the enemies. Deuteronomy 28, 25, and 65. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into the kingdoms of the earth. We have been sent to every nation. We're tied in with every nation. The Hispanics, every group of people we are tied in with because our people were sold into slavery in those lands. The Spanish slavery, all over the place. We are the only group of people that have been sold into slavery to the 4 corners of the earth. And also the 65th verse of this chapter. All of this is coming from the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. That is us. Aren't we always being picked on? Every time you turn around, we in the news. People follow us around for being black. They're calling the cops on us because we live in a neighborhood that they don't think we should live in. They're always arresting our men, sending them to jail, whether they've done wrong or not. It's always some kind of crazy thing going on for blacks. Everywhere we go, we have to think about the fact we're black. We don't know what's going to happen to us. You know, if you go over in this neighborhood, that neighborhood, a lot of black women tell me when their sons go out during every day, they always hope and pray they're going to come home safe, that they're going to be safe. They have to tell them what to do if they encounter the cops. I've had relatives tell me things that have happened to their children with things that they weren't even involved in, but just because they were black, they were chased by the cops. Just crazy stuff. All of this is due to the curses, I'm telling you. You will have no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. Every time we turn around, there's something going down with people of color. Okay? It has to do with these curses. Number 3, set back to what they call Metzrayim, which is Egypt. Okay, America is our Egypt, sent again by ships. The 68th verse says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Who else was sent in ships into slavery? Not the Europeans that are in Israel now. I don't have not, I'm not preaching or teaching any hate, but I used to wonder, how is it that European people are in Northeast Africa and saying that they're the true people from Israel, that they're the true Hebrews? No. They even did tests on them. They are Ashkenazi and Khazarian Jews. They're from Europe. They're from the Ukraine. How they got there? When the 70 AD revolt happened, they had the choice whether to become Christians over there in Europe or become Muslims. They didn't want either. So they decided to get our people to teach them Judaism. That's why you have pictures of black Hebrews in Russia. Our people, they taught them the Judaism. So conveniently, when we fled, they came and took over. So I used to wonder, when I see them at the Western Wall, where did they come from? How are they in Africa? I just didn't understand that. And yes, what happened to them as far as the Holocaust, that was an atrocity, but they were not sent in ships all over the world. They don't cover these 12 curses. And they have admitted, a lot of their leaders have admitted it, and now they are doing a redirection 2.0, they call it, where they're going to be sending them back to the Ukraine. Why? They know the scripture. They know that the 400 years is up. When the 400 years is up, God is going to lift the curse. From the transatlantic slave trade started from 1619. This year is 2019. 400 years, time is up, okay? The next major event that we're looking for is the Exodus. We have got to exit out and get back to our land. We have land. We have kingdoms that Christ is going to help us to reign over. Do you know that they even changed the Bible over here in this land? When we were brought over here in ships, they changed our belief. And they made us believe that Jesus was European. And his name wasn't even Jesus. His name is Yahusha. There was no J at that time as far as Hebrew. Okay? So they call him Jesus Christ. Why? So that we would submit to the white slave masters. If they make you think God is white, then you're going to say, all right, yes, sir, boss, yes, sir, and all of that kind of stuff. And that's what they did to our ancestors. They whitewashed our history totally. They wiped it out, made us feel that we should be grateful that they brought us over here in these ships and gave us a life. What? We came from we helped build those pyramids. Are you kidding me? We came from great dynasties and kingdoms. The kingdom of Judah, like I showed you on the Negro land map. We had kingdoms. We still have areas that are over there in Africa, that we reigned over. Now I'm going to go to prove to you that the Hebrew Israelites, we are Hebrew Israelites. We're not African, y'all. We're not African. And I love the African people, wonderful. Our people fled to your different areas and all of that. But we have our own land that Christ is going to come and reign and rule over as priest and king in the real Jerusalem. Okay, other biblical scriptures proving that the Hebrew Israelites are what? Black. We have Jeremiah 14:2. If you could bring that up, the Hebrew Israelites are black. Jews, it says Jews are black. So these are different scriptures that prove to us that the Hebrew Israelite, Jews, why do they call us Jews? From Judah, Jacob's son, Judah, okay? But we're Hebrew because of Abraham, okay? We're Israelites because of Jacob. Remember Jacob, when God blessed him, he changed his name to Israel because he said, you fought like a king. So, and Jews is Judah. Judah is one of Jacob's sons. Now, Jeremiah 14:2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Job 30:30. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Also wanted to tell you about Moses, or his name is Moshe. When the Lord told him to put his hand inside his bosom and pull it out, and his skin had become leprous, as white as snow. How in the world could God change him to white if he's already white? He was not white, he was black. Remember, Moses also was brought up in Egypt as an Egyptian. Why? Because he was dark-skinned. That's how he was able to play it off that he was one of the Egyptian, because the Hebrew Israelites are dark-skinned. Like the Zondervan, what do you call it? The Zondervan tells you that Ham is the father of the dark-skinned people, but not the Negroes. So Moshe was able to hide out as an Egyptian because he was dark-skinned. He had a darker complexion, but he was a Hebrew. So that goes to tell you that he definitely was not European. Matter of fact, the Bible doesn't have anywhere in the Bible where it said that the Europeans would go in ships as slaves, or they don't fit any of the curses, none. Now, the Song of Solomon, also 1:5. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Kedar means dark-skinned. Lamentations 4:8. Their visage is blacker than coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bodies. It is withered, it is become like a stick. Jeremiah 8:21. For the hurt of the daughter of my people I am hurt. I am black. Astonishment hath taken hold of me. Isaiah 29:22. Therefore thus saith the Lord, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. How could your face wax pale if you're not white? Okay. Exodus 4:6. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thy hand, like I said, into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. When he took it out, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. Acts 13:1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene, and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. Niger is a Latin word which means what? Black. Okay, so you have all of these scriptures that tells you who these Hebrew Israelites are. They are not European people. They are black. Okay. Now, let's talk about these 12 tribes, if you could bring up the chart for the 12 tribes. And being that we were in all the areas, this is who you are. This is who you are. Okay, the tribe of Levi, I'm seeing they are the Haitians. The tribe of Naphtali, let me bring it up on my phone because I can't see it as well as you all can, but I'm going to bring it up here so that I can see these tribes with you. Okay, so let's start from the tribe of Manasseh. Manasseh are the Cubans. All the people of color, you are Hebrew Israelites, okay? Manasseh is the Cubans. Cubans, yes, you have black in you, okay? Yeah. The tribe of Asher. These are the 12 tribes of Israel, meaning Jacob's sons, okay? Tribe of Levi are the Haitians. Haitians, you're the tribe of Levi. Tribe of Naphtali, the Hawaiians and the Samoans. You're from the tribe of Naphtali. Issachar, you're the Mexicans. They call you, these are the names that were given to you, Mexicans and all of these different names. But you're originally from these tribes. The tribe of Judah is us here in America, the Negroes. I'm going to go into that, as I told you about my people are Igbos, but I'll go into that later. And then the tribe of Zebulun is Panamanians and Colombians. You're from the tribe of Zebulun. The tribe of Gad is the Native Americans. The tribe of Reuben is the Seminole Indians. The tribe of Simeon, DR. I know you all sometimes, I see your videos and you say, I ain't black. Girl, I ain't black. They try to tell me I'm black, girl. Yes, you are. Dominican Republic, you're from the tribe of Simeon. Don't y'all know y'all got some color? Y'all got some color in you. You're not European. You know that, right? You are definitely from the tribe of Simeon. The tribe of Benjamin is the Jamaicans and West Indians. All my West Indian people. You are from the tribe of Benjamin, and some of you from the tribe of Levi too. But Jamaicans, my people, some of my people are from Montserrat and different places. Okay, that's you. The tribe of Ephraim, you are the Puerto Ricans. Salsa. Yeah, you. Okay, so these are all of the people of who you are. And if you look in the middle of this chart here, you will see that was the wilderness tabernacle that our ancestors used to live around when we came out of the first Egypt and were in the wilderness. They were in the wilderness, winded up 40 years, shouldn't have been there more than a few days. But why you think they were there in the wilderness for 40 years? Because they were rebellious. And the Lord was trying to get that out of them. So they had the wilderness tabernacle, which had all of the priests. God formed us to be a priestly nation. It's our job to encourage the nations of who they are and who we are to get people to bring them to the Lord. But we used to, our people used to encamp around there by these different nations. Judah was right behind where the Levites were. And the Levites were the one that served inside of the tabernacle. They gave up the sacrifices. There's another teaching I could do on that about the wilderness tabernacle so you could really understand who Christ really is. That's another teaching that I definitely need to do. But this is how we were situated around the wilderness tabernacle. That's it in the middle there. And all of our ancestors by tribes, we were around the wilderness tabernacle. So this is who we are. We are the 12 tribes of Israel, but most of us that came over on that transatlantic slave trade are the Negroes. The Negroes are from the tribe of Judah. Our tribe basically fled to Nigeria. Most of our people, a lot of our people are still there. We're either, some of us are the Ashantis. My family is the Igbo people. So let me pull up the slave facts. I believe, yeah, the slave facts, if we can pull up that particular one. Okay. Now, the slaves, like I said on it, number one, it says the slaves fled into Africa year 70 AD, fleeing from the Romans so that they wouldn't be killed and thrown into slavery. This is how those people got into Africa. In 1619, they were taken as captives from the western coast of Africa in the land of Benin, which means Benjamin, tribe of Benjamin, the land of Benjamin, city called Oida, which is tribe of Judah, is Judah, over there in Negro land. Remember, there was no way they could get us out to those slave ships unless who? The Nigerians and different people. I know they don't like to admit it, but they were sellouts. I'm sorry. They sold us. They sold us to the people. Okay, we love y'all, but y'all know y'all ain't do us right. Okay, now, so number 4, we were sent to Jamestown, Virginia, where we were sold as bondmen and bondwomen. And the Negroes that live in America today are descendants of those slaves. And those slaves were not of African descent. We're not Africans. Yes, they didn't come from the land of Ham. Ham is the progenitor or the father of the Cushites and some of those other ites, Hittites, and all of those people. But we are from Shem. We are Shemites. Okay, so we, a lot of the pastors that are in the churches, a lot of them didn't know. A lot of them didn't know. They don't know all of this history. Some of this I'm just finding out. Some of it I knew, but my awakening really happened about a year ago to really know that we came. I didn't really realize that we did come from Jerusalem, that we are actually from Israel. I knew that we, were of some type of descent from Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is from the tribe of Judah. But he, we call him Jesus Christ here in America, but over there he is known as Yah. He's known as Yahuwah, well, which is God, but over there they would call him Yahusha. So, Yahushua. So I didn't know this. I studied for myself all of this to connect all of this as to where we came from. And I'll be honest with you, it was clearly quite an eye-opener for me to know that we actually came from the same tribe that Jesus Christ came from. I was like, wow, okay. But then I, didn't kind of understand then, how did the Europeans that are there now, the Ashkenazi and the Khazarian Jews, how did they get over there? And then I started to study about 70 AD when the Roman revolt happened, and it all came together and made sense to me. But I, realize now that the Lord had let his people know that we were going to go back to slavery again. And in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, again, the 68th verse, and it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships with ships, by the way that whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Okay, so to get back to some of those curses, we've been scattered among all nations. Okay, we are a very sick and disease-stricken people. We always got gout and what's the other one? We always had diabetes all the time, right? Diabetes. We're at the bottom socially with other races high above us. Even though we came here, isn't that crazy? We came here and we built this country for free, okay? We built this place for free. All of these inventions and things that have made, most of them, we made them. But of course, the Europeans took credit for it by our people. And those of you who have been going to my page, thank you. You've been seeing, I've been putting up all of our inventors. Well, not all of them. We got so many people. Y'all wouldn't believe how many blacks, people of color rather, Hebrews, that have been inventors. I mean, it's just crazy. Activists. We're not just people who entertain, and that's wonderful, entertainment industry, but we are in every different area that there could be. But they we're still considered the bottom of everybody. We're at the bottom socially with other races high above us. Look at NYCHA. That NYCHA situation is horrible. And those are mostly who? Our people. They're in the NYCHA projects, and they don't make, our people don't make the money that they should. They don't get the education that they should. The teachers that are brought to their areas, they can't even teach our people. Our kids always seem like a lot of our kids have autism. Why? Because they give them shots too early. That's another thing I'm going to talk about, because that's a scam. You don't give kids shots almost right after they're born. They're giving them these 3 shots that, and these kids are not even hardly a year old or whatever. And I know people that have told me that their kids changed after that. They had a happy baby or a happy toddler, and all of a sudden this kid gets 3 shots of rubella and all this other crap that they say is supposed to help them from these diseases, but they're too strong for the little kids. And now these kids have autism. Autism is on the rise like crazy. Like crazy. Our kids getting these sicknesses and diseases. Heart disease is amongst our people. Okay. We've lost the true knowledge of who we are, and will be called by many scornful nicknames other than Israel and Hebrew. Okay, we've been called all of these, the N-word, and I'm amazed at how our young people are on the streets still calling each other that. Like it's just hey, neighbor. They call each other the N-word, and our children don't even know their history. They don't know what's behind that word. I hear them calling each other that every day I walk past them. They're calling it, and it's like, yeah, well, hey, yeah. And sometimes I've questioned them that, you all talk to each other like that every day? Yeah, miss, we just playing with each other. You're playing? Do you know the meaning behind that word? And they've even tried to change it in some of the cultures and say, oh, it no longer means that. Yes, it does. It has a very negative, you can't change it. It's the meaning of a word. It's a negative word that we used to be called when we got here as slaves. We went from Hebrew to Igbo to Negro to the N-word. They call us all of these crazy names. Jigaboo, Black Spasm, horrible names that they called us once we got here. Now, the word Igbo, I believe they used that when they escaped from Jerusalem because they wanted to hide out. So they called themselves Igbos. And then from there, they went to Negro. But we've been called all of these horrible, scornful names. Number 9, we've been packed into prisons and jails. Oh, Father. Oh, my Lord Yahusha. The prisons are packed with our men. Packed. Scam. Scam, scam, scam. They make money. They brought us from, and this is the crazy thing, the Emancipation Proclamation, okay, was a proclamation by Abraham Lincoln. It wasn't approved by Congress. So you know they could flip that thing at any time they want. So to make America great again, what you think that means? That was during the time that we built this country for them for free. Don't be fooled, y'all. Stay woke. Stay awake. All right? Stay awake. And they even try to, facilitate us this year by doing the summary H.R. 1242 from Congress. It says the 400 Years of African American History Commission Act. This bill establishes the 400 Years of African American History Commission to develop and carry out activities throughout the United States to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the arrival, check that out, the arrival of Africans in the English colonies at Point Comfort, Virginia in 1619. But they're not telling you we came here protesting. We didn't want to come to this place. We're not from here. Talking about we arrived here like we got off the plane saying, hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Hey, peace. God bless. Yeah. No. They brought us here in ships and chains. So now they, try to play it off and sweep it under the rug. The commission must plan programs to acknowledge the impact that slavery and laws that enforce racial discrimination had on the United States. Plan programs to acknowledge it. Y'all can't even handle NYCHA. Fixing those ceilings that, have y'all seen on television the ceilings falling through with babies and rats running around? Rats running around the kitchens, and the people have to hide out. They can't even go in their kitchen and cook or nothing like that. The walls, the infestation, and all of that crap that goes along with it. Encourage civic, patriotic, historical, educational, artistic, religious, and economic organizations to organize and participate in anniversaries and activities. Have y'all heard of this? Because I haven't heard anything about it coming from, council people and stuff like our local councilmen. How come y'all didn't put it in our local papers? Nothing like that. It's like it's a secret. Hush, hush. Assist states, localities, and nonprofit organizations to further the commemoration and coordinate for the public scholarly research on the arrival, again, the arrival of Africans, still calling us Africans, in the United States and their contributions to this country. How about the inventions that our people made? And you never even acknowledge those. Okay? And they have all of this, pomp and circumstance, as they usually do, to play it off as if we just arrived here some kind of way, and all of that kind of stuff. Well, I would advise you all to have your ancestry done. I did. I went to 23andMe, and I found out through my ancestry. I'm going to pull that one up on my phone too. I found out on my particular ancestry that I am 85.8%, which means 86%, sub-Saharan African. Why? Because my people are Igbo. I come from the tribe of Judah. They escaped, went to Africa, and they still live in Nigeria. So 34% of me is Nigerian by way of the Igbos. Okay? The 20% of me, 20.4% of me is Ghanaian, Liberian, and Sierra Leone. I think that might be from my father. Let me let you know this. When you're doing your ancestry, you'll be able to find out some of your father's identity, but in order to find out all of it, you have to have one of your male relatives send in their saliva, because the female, we can't get as much information. I know that 13% of me, the European part, only the 13% comes from my father, from his people. But the African or the black side of him, I believe, is from Ghana. But the Nigerian part, I know because my family, on my mother's side, they have the charts, the people charts. And I know for a fact that our ancestor Phoebe came over here from, she was Igbo. So her people, she's from the Igbo. She was the first on my mother's side to come over here about 4 generations ago. And she was kidnapped. She was one of those that was kidnapped and came over here. And she came over to, Montserrat, West Indies. And then from there, we migrated here to America. So I got to find out that I'm 85.8% sub-Saharan African. Of that, like I said, 34.1% Nigerian, 20.4% Ghanaian, Liberian, Sierra Leone, 10% Congolese, 3.3% Guinean and Senegambian, 0.1% Southern East African, 12.2% West African, 1.8% Congolese and Southern East African, 3.8% Sub-Saharan African. The European British part of me is 4.8% from Ireland, Scandinavian 0.4%, French and German 0.3%, Northwestern European 5.7%, Southern European 0.7%, 1.1% Broad European. East Asian and Native American is very low, it's 0.8%. 0.3% of that is Native American. 0.3% is Indonesian, Thai, Khmer, and Myanmar. 0.1% is Chinese and Southeast Asian, and on and on. But like I said, we've been sent to all the corners of the earth. So even though we're Negroes, we have a lot mixed in us. But I was surprised to find out that I was 86% sub-Saharan African of Igbo descent. I thought I would probably be more Hispanic, but it turned out it wasn't. I turned out to be more Igbo and from the tribe of Judah. So I would advise all of you who are Negro, please know your history and teach it to your children. And watch what's going on. Watch how they try to, even in these politics, pretending that they're for us and stuff like that. We got to call these people out because they really, I'm sorry, but they just not really, they're not heading in our direction, okay? And there at some point is going to be an exodus. I don't know when, but I know that this year the spiritual curse of these 12 curses will be lifted up off of us. So look to be released in your mind and in your spirit this year. And at some point physically, we will be released. If you want to, you could put up the picture of the Igbo people. This is, basically what Igbo people look like, because they still have on their Jewish they wear their prayer shawl like I do. I wear my prayer shawl, and they do too, because they still, a lot of them still practice Judaism. However, I myself, I guess, would be considered more kind of messianic because I believe in Christ. They still don't maybe know that Christ is a fulfilling of the law, but this is what they look like today. They still wear their shawls, and they are descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Also, you could show the lady if you want to. She's probably a more modern looking Igbo person. You know, they dressed very, still kind of African like, some of them. So this is how they look. Anyway, I tried, you all, to squeeze everything into 1 hour. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope this will send you on a journey. Find out who your people are. Eventually, you know, I got to get over there to see, probably to Africa, to see my Igbo people. I've been connecting with my people on 23andMe, you know, my cousins and stuff like that. You know, to find out how we're connected and everything. And who knows, maybe we'll have a reunion and I'll be able to film it and show it to you all so that you'll see who we are. And eventually we're going to go back to the land of Israel, wherever that kind of really is, because there's another story with that too. So anyway, God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. I'm so glad you all joined in. Continue to come back and watch the show. Share this with somebody. And remember to stay balanced and do your homework. Check out who you are. Check out your people, all right? And remember these tribes. You could come on my page and look and see for yourself what tribe you belong to. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. You stay balanced.